Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I'm Pannon.
I'm Fire.
And I'm David.
Anticipation.
Oh my god. Hooray.
And
Hooray!
I'm Anticipation.
Say it. I'm David.
People are gonna
Hi.
shake their
Hi, David.
devices and be like, did it die? Did it cut out?
What happened? What's
happened
going
here?
on?
No, it's just David.
I'm gonna make a whole episode, and it's just gonna be parts of previously recorded bits of just I'm Pannon, I'm V-Fire, and then I'm just gonna put in 30 minutes of silence.
Mm-hmm.
David. And if you want to provide us, horror stories, all right, here's a pun. Good night, everybody.
Oh, cheers, my eyes.
boy.
That's funny.
I think I've got a new prank to play on all of you.
Oh,
so
boy.
please keep your eye out for that, because that's going to be hilarious for me.
Just random background noises, people clearing their throat, they're still there, but they're just waiting.
What's that song? It's 4 minutes 22 seconds or something like that. Where
yeah.
it's
It's
some
all
guy who
silence.
just sits at a piano
Mhm.
and doesn't do anything, and
It's
the idea is
art.
that the art is the music of just the space around him, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Wow. Oh boy. So if you guys at home have things you'd like to contribute, such as your horror stories, your
Or
happy
topic
stories,
suggestions, since
topic
David's
suggestions.
I want
Unless you
4
want-
minutes and 22 minutes
Yep.
or 20 seconds of silence.
Yep. You can email those to us at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com or
Or you can fill out the googly Google form at cosplaystitchandseam.com,
Or you can go to our Facebook page and tell me how ridiculous I am. Or you can just join us for our Work in Progress Wednesdays. And we would love to see our community continue to grow, see everyone share their examples, their trials, their failures, everything along those lines. And if you want to join our Discord on our Facebook page and our Twitter, we will occasionally drop a link just so that we're not overwhelmed and we can make sure everybody's joining on whenever they want. For those of you who are yelling at yelling at your device, yes, it's 4 minutes 33 seconds by John Cage. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you for letting me know. I heard you in the future. Thank you so much. If you want to support the show, there's many different ways you could do that. Word of mouth is our best friend when it comes down to it. Share the podcast with a friend of yours or a family member who you think would enjoy it. You can always leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Podchaser, wherever they let you. We really appreciate that. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/cosplaystitch. For $3 a month, we give you a shout out on the show. And for $5 a month, you join our Cosplay Chronicles.
Chronicle. I always feel like that's like a trust fall. Are they going to do the echo? Do you know?
Is it going to be Mercedes this time? Is she going to stay silent? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
I just adding in the
We have it coming up on September 12th. We've got some cons coming up, so we wanted to make sure we gave everybody some time to decompress and make sure that they're all feeling okay, so that way we can all come back in and play safely at the table.
Yeah, if you guys are going to be at NDK, that is why we're not on the first Sunday of the month, because I'm going to go and be there and be like, sup, peeps.
Sup, peeps.
So make sure to say hi to you and
Yeah.
get your interviews, and maybe are you going to have some of the ribbons and cards and whatnot?
Yes, I'm hoping to have ribbons and business cards and all that fun stuff. So
Sweet.
come say
Sweet.
hi. I want to see your costumes. Tell me all about them. I am attention starved for seeing people in cosplay.
And then we have that new community project. Mercedes, do you want to tell us about it?
Yes, we want to feature the photographer because you guys are amazing and you help our cosplays look even cooler. So please send in to either via email or a link or however you want to just yeet it to us with a yes, yeet it at us. No, don't yeet it at me, please. I will not dodge. Oh my gosh, I need to focus. Okay. Yes. Those are due at the end of September. Get those cosplayer photos. Make sure you give credit to the cosplayer in the photo as well as to the photographer, because again, we are showcasing their amazing talent. There's so much that goes into the photography as well as the costumes, and sometimes the photographers don't get the attention, and we're giving them that attention. So join our showcase. I'll make a video. It's going to go on YouTube. It's going to look dope.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And when do those due?
End of September.
Yeah.
I'll wake up then.
Ha. Also, if you'd like to support a awesome cosplayer who also does awesome makeup, you can go to foxbeautycosmetics.com. That's FOXX beautycosmetics.com. Use the promo code Stitch and Seam to receive 10% off your all vegan, not tested on animal products, which are lovely. And if you join our live streams, like at least a couple of us are usually modeling it just because we like it a lot.
It's so fun to wear.
It is. I like it a lot. So today's topic was actually sent in by a listener. So thank you, longtime listener, Narwhals in Jars, because just had a lot of like awesome suggestions and always there to hear us out, which we
love
super
you, Narwhals
appreciate.
In Jars.
Yeah.
The name is perfect.
But the specific request was for plus size cosplay and patterning. And while I was putting like notes for the episode together, I kind of realized that we have done a lot of like body positivity episodes, and I love those episodes so much.
Mm-hmm.
But we also haven't really done one that specifically focuses on plus size cosplay. And I thought that we could kind of include that all together.
I think this is I think that's great. I like that idea a lot. I think there's a lot to cover. Because we definitely talk about like the body positivity aspect of it all.
For sure.
But there are extra hurdles every now and again that if we can make easier for somebody or make them feel a little bit more normalized, I think that's definitely the direction we should go.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because one of the things I hear like every so often is with the body positivity panels is people will ask, well, why is it always full of plus size people? Why I want to celebrate my body type too, and why are we always celebrating plus size people? And I think it comes from the idea that like we are trying to lift up like groups that feel more marginalized, you know? Like of course we want you to feel good about your body, and like the fact that we are highlighting others who maybe don't get as much of a chance doesn't mean you shouldn't want to celebrate your body as well.
Yes.
So I don't want anyone to mistake this for any sort of like elitism or anything like that, because it's definitely not like that. It's
all bodies are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And like one thing I want to quickly throw out there that I hear a lot of is like, oh, well, if the body positivity movement doesn't mean that it's healthy, and like that seems like such a bad thing. And I'm like, no. Being able to love your body doesn't mean that you're not going to like continue taking care of it, you know? Like,
right.
Like I'm a small person, and I still have to take care of my body, and whether I hate it or I love it. And that is something that all people should still do, but it's a lot easier to take care of your body if you love it. And that is why all bodies are beautiful, is that if you love your body, you're going to take care of it the best that you can. And that's different for every body out there and everybody.
That's true. I think there's definitely a stigma with that, like you mentioned, like, if somebody is lifting up like a plus size cosplayer, people are like, well, are you glorifying a lifestyle that's unhealthy? And it's like, how do you know that person is unhealthy? They may be at their like healthiest shape for their body type or for their current health. It's overlooking so many like underlying things that you know nothing about. They may have like chronic pain that won't let them go out and like run on a track every day. They may have specific dietary needs that they have to fulfill just to survive. You know, you don't know a person's past, and
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a complex thing, and what we want to come to this episode with the energy with is that all bodies are beautiful. We need to respect every individual journey that we're all on, and respect the fact that your journey is not going to be the same as my journey. And
Right.
it's a hard topic, yes, and we can take opportunities to make these topics a little bit more bearable. We have a soapbox that we can stand on every now and again, and if we can use that platform to highlight opportunities. I say this all the time on Comic Trades, of like, if we have this platform, we're going to try and use it to let everyone know that you're loved no matter what, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Like, and while I'm on and getting on the soapbox, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ways and like why plus size people feel othered, I suppose, or feel worth less than normal size folks. And there are like a ton of social stigmas about that. I was looking into, like, just so I could have some numbers to throw out at you. But people who are bullied, if you are, see, and this is part of like my own internalized stuff, is I still have a hard time saying the word fat. And I shouldn't. It is just a physical descriptor. But if you are fat, you are 5 times more likely to be bullied, whether it's online, in school, in the workplace, etc. You are 5 times more likely just from that. And growing up, I can tell you, I have been bullied off and on probably my whole life, but definitely starting when I was like in elementary school and I was just bigger than the other kids. And that kind of thing, like, it hits you pretty hard. Like, I know, Mercedes, you've brought up some of the experiences you've had with people making fun of you or bullying you online. And those instances, they stick with you. Like, even if you aren't letting it like sink in, if you're rolling it off and like being positive about it, it's still like, it's not
or
fun.
Telling them I will fight them.
Right.
I'll fight their faces. But yeah, it's still like, it still takes a jab at you and you're just like, ow.
Yeah. And especially like, this is one I've kind of struggled with, and like, as I point these things out, I don't want anyone to like feel like massive guilt trips. I just want to like raise awareness that the things you say and do, people notice, and there can be underlying attitudes that you may not even be aware that you're projecting. And so I kind of want to just mention those so maybe you can be a little more sensitive. So like, especially with the pandemic, I have noticed so many people are talking about like their quarantine 15. And I guess I should have started the episode by saying this is like a content warning, because we are talking about things like diet and weight and stuff. And that is very sensitive for some people. So I'm sorry I didn't say that at the beginning of the episode. But with the pandemic stuff, a lot of people have talked about gaining weight. And it's very hard as a plus size person to see people talking about that as if it is like the worst thing that could possibly happen to them. And not everybody does that, but like just scrolling through like my Facebook feed and people feeling like hideous or awful or just all these derogatory terms just because they've gained a little bit of weight makes others who are larger or not as like able to do anything about it, it makes them feel even worse. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to like vent your frustrations, because that may be a legitimately frustrating thing for you, but I would just say pick your words very carefully, and try to be sensitive. Make sure that like this is something you'd be comfortable saying to a plus size person in your life, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. So some of the other studies I came across, we're talking about some of the progress that has been made. And I was actually like really excited to read about some of the progress that's been made, especially in the fashion industry, which has always been so very, very anti plus size.
Mhm.
I found some really good articles on a website called nylon.com.
Okay.
And they actually interviewed different people in the fashion industry about how plus size has become more and more visible at places like New York Fashion Week. But how it's really hard because a lot of the higher end luxury brands still have this like assumption that bigger people cheapen their brand. And I think that's another like mindset people really have to reevaluate, is that people associate fat bodies with laziness or not looking after ourselves, or like the opposite of, good self-care. And that's not true. Like, one of the things I struggle with just at work is like there are people at my job who will wear like yoga pants and a t-shirt to work, and I never feel, and this is like me personally, but I don't feel like I can do the same. I feel like if I wear something like that, people assume I look sloppy and lazy and unprofessional because I am overweight and in an easy sort of fashion look. So I usually have to like dress up just to feel like I'm at the same level of others, if that makes sense.
Well, and not only that, but like there's also like women's clothing is always designed to fall apart so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that like there's going to be some extra wear spots with your body and different
Absolutely.
areas and whatnot. So unfortunately, because of the poor craftsmanship that is put into a lot of commercialized clothing, that means that even if you are going to wear those leggings, they're probably going to wear down faster, unfortunately. And that's so frustrating. Let alone pockets.
It is.
Let alone pockets.
Like, this
I was like, pulled out soapbox, climbs up on it. I want pockets. Real pockets.
Man. Like, honestly, one of the reasons, like, there were many reasons I got into cosplay, but one of the reasons specifically that I learned to sew and get better at crafting is because costumes just aren't available commercially in my size. Like, I would send someone my measurements and they're like, we can't accommodate this. Which is like devastating. It's crushing when you wanted to cosplay the thing and it's like feels like it's beyond your abilities. And, then they just tell you, no, you can't do that. So that's one of the reasons I learned to be like, yes, I can. Screw you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the ones I've run into like a ton recently is medical fat phobias. About 40% of doctors, according to a recent study, have a negative reaction to people who are plus size. And then also plus size people have a lot less trust from doctor to patient because they're so used to hearing things like, well, if you just lose weight, it's going to fix whatever problem you're coming in for. So just like if you have a doctor that you're going in to see for a specific condition that has nothing to do with weight and they bring up your diet, that's a red flag. They need to be studying your symptoms and not just looking at you and making assumptions. I just like recently, like I didn't even know this condition existed until several months ago. But I found out that I have a condition called lipedema, which basically what it is you accumulate fat differently, and it tends to accumulate in your lower body, so your hips and thighs. And the hard thing with it is that, like, you can diet and exercise all you want, and it does very little to change the shape you are. And the signs that I had this were obvious, like really obvious. And I have been in and out of doctors, my whole life, and they've never brought it up. They've never said, hey, you might have this. Maybe we can like look at options for treating it early or anything like that. It's always just been, well, maybe if you stop eating hamburgers all the time and have a salad. And I'm like, I love salad. I have salad all the time. I don't know.
I was like, so many of like people that I know who are plus size eat so healthy.
Yeah.
And it's
true.
like, stop telling them to not eat hamburgers because they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's not that, gosh.
Exactly.
Sorry. I'm not going to try not to get angry.
But yeah, it took till I was this many years old for me to even realize that that was something that I had, that it was something that I could look into specific diets and treatments that help that. And while I don't want anyone who is overweight to feel like it is their fault, because that's an awful toxic mindset to have, I admit to having it for most of my life. And just hearing this diagnosis after going to 3 different doctors just to get it, it made such a, I don't know, it was kind of like a lifting a weight off. Like, you have like suffered and worked so hard, and like the fact that you have not been able to keep off weight or do this stuff, it's not because you're flawed as a human being. It's because there are literal medical reasons. And I don't know. I had a little bit of a breakdown over that whole thing. And I'm still kind of like coming to terms with that. And I still have a hard time believing it, honestly. Like, I've been talking to Kame, who we've had on the show a few times, because she was the one who actually brought up the condition to me so I could have it checked out in the first place. But the whole time I was like, I don't know. I just feel like this is imposter syndrome. I don't actually have this. And just over and over and over trying to tell myself that I'm the one to blame for this. And it's such a bad, unhealthy, difficult mindset to have. But yeah, if you people are listening at home, I don't know why this condition is so hidden. Because apparently like 1 in 10 people born assigned female at birth have it and probably don't know it. So might be something to look into if you are a pear-shaped human. One of the other difficulties I've had recently, and I don't want to get into too much with this, but one of my siblings is going to need organ transplants soon. And the hardest part is like they are not able to specifically get on the list until their BMI is at a certain level. And the fact that they could literally die without this transplant, it's so devastating for me. Mm-hmm. And that I also can't offer to donate because of my BMI, even though I am perfectly healthy in all other ways, is also it's very troubling to me.
It's one of those things where I want to just like scream about how like your BMI is just like your credit score. It's a made up number to make you feel bad about yourself.
It's awful. And the fact that I can't help the sibling and that they can't get the help they need because of that made up number, it's infuriating. So yeah, if I've been upset lately, that's probably one of the reasons. But there's just like some of the examples, like, and a lot of plus size people will avoid doctors specifically because they're sick of hearing that over and over and over.
Yeah.
There's also, sorry to get like too heavy there, but there's also the like social stigma of being the right kind of plus size. Like, I'm very excited that more and more plus size fashions are being released and people are conscious of them. But a lot of these brands are using very specific types of models, and people see these hourglass figures that are very curvy and beautiful as the only plus size option there is, where people actually like carry their weight in so many different ways. Like, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about when we go into patterning, is that when you're a plus size person, there are so many different ways your weight can accumulate and things you have to adjust for, and that they're depicting only this one type of plus size can be very hard, because you're looking for a fashion, you know, that looks like you, and you can't find it. Mm-hmm. I've really liked it's been on my Facebook feed a lot, probably because I talk so much about this sort of a thing, but I think it's called Snag Tights, and they use like exclusively plus size models for their advertisements, and they use all sorts of different shapes of plus size, which is so cool. I just love that. So yeah, it's great that it's being more accepted, and I wish they were doing it with more different shapes. So one of the things people also mention is having like this sense of like internalized fat phobia, and I think that's definitely something I have struggled with. I still have, like I said, have trouble saying the word. And so we've made up a lot of these other words like curvy and fluffy and marshmallow to like help soften that. And I'm definitely for like use whatever label is going to make you feel comfortable and happy. But also be aware of how those labels can also, they can be both helpful and hinder, if that makes sense. Yeah. And
yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be like, ask what someone is comfortable with being called.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause like, I have some friends who are comfortable being called certain things, but I would never, ever, ever use it on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, these names are for my friends.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard because it's like, I like looking in the mirror, I'm like, yes, I am fat, but also it's been a term that has been used so much of my life to make fun of me and to belittle me and to make me feel less worthy of basic respect that it is something that I have a really hard time calling myself, which is why I do like terms like plus size and fluffy and whatnot. So just being sensitive and being aware and like what is your friend okay with being called is a good idea to listen.
Yeah. Find out what they are comfortable with, because you're there to help, not hinder.
Right. And despite like the struggles I've had, it's like a multiplier for people of color who also have to deal with all the struggles they have with their race, and being overweight is so much. It's like I said, it's like a multiplier. It's so much more difficult.
There's like a part of me that's like, I should just got them to be like, I'm the white version of all these characters, because guess what? They're all Asian. But I know that doesn't actually help, but it's just so funny how people get so caught up on race. When it's like, these aren't even technically white characters. So
they're fictional. Let people have fun and be their fictional characters. Like,
yes. And everyone, no matter what they're doing, it's like, that's Wonder Woman, that's Wonder Woman, that's Wonder Woman. And pretend I'm pointing at like different skin colors, body types, and everything when I said that. It's all Wonder Woman, and it's amazing.
So moving from like all of these like obviously very complicated social ideas into cosplay, I felt very conflicted, because the idea of like helping someone pattern, of course, awesome. Like, let me help you make this thing fit you. But also so much of the work that I and other plus size cosplayers do with our patterning, with our undershaping, with everything like that, is to appear more normal sized. And so I feel very hypocritical being like, embrace your size, whatever size it is worthy of respect. And then I'm using these costumes to make myself look like I am normal size passing. So like, these are suggestions I have for like how to help alter your costumes and stuff, but like, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that the way you're doing things is at any way deficient.
Well, it's like, I don't know, if someone wants bigger boobs or wants to not have boobs in their costume and they, bind, it's okay to do what makes you feel good. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, cosplay is all about like becoming these characters that we wouldn't otherwise able to be, and people do all sorts of crazy things to get like all sorts of shapes. So like, while it's not out of the realm of normal for cosplay, I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, I don't think anybody like necessarily needs to change their shape, but a lot of the help people ask for with this is on ways to give the illusion of changing their shape. So I'm going into it with that in mind. Because having the shape is like the first thing you think about with the cosplay, is all the like under things you need to wear to get to the shape that you want to be before the costume goes on. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about, was like shapewear and corsetry and things like that. Because a lot of people are lucky and they don't have to, like, not that I have to, but they don't feel like they have to wear stuff like Spanx and corsets and things because they're okay with their natural shape, which is great. There are things that can alter that. Shapewear is one. Spanx is, of course, the most like popular brand of that, but it's basically compression clothing. If you haven't used it before, you're going to have an easier time finding it in the ladies' clothing section, but they do make menswear compression clothing. It's just usually have to order it online.
Yeah, which is a little harder to find.
It is a little bit harder to find, but it is out there. Like when I look for like binders and things, they have everything from like just a basic rib cage covering binder to like full compression shirts that can like you would wear for other health reasons as well. But they just kind of like scrunch you down a little bit. But yeah, I personally, like, I usually wear a number of shapewear with my costumes. With corsetry, I really like, both because of the shape it gives me and because it is a support for if you're wearing a lot of skirts. It actually keeps the weight distributed more evenly so that you're not going to hurt your hips, which is, I have a lot of hip pain after my car accident. And so having something that distributes it evenly and like keeps things from digging into my skin is awesome. So it serves lots of purposes.
That's a big thing with corsetry that I think is like a huge misconception, is that it's not only like a shapewear kind of thing, but it also it is like a functioning part of the outfit.
It's like clothing armor. Like,
yes, it's protecting you against the weight of all this fabric.
It is. It really is. That's what it does. But yeah, there are options for like how to give yourself different shapes. With corsets,
it's a fashionable harness.
It is. It is. I would say with corsets, especially if you are a plus-sized human, it's so important to get one that is reliable, like that fits your measurements. Like, it's so enviable to be able to go to a shop and just pick out a corset that fits your size. Like, that would be awesome. I have, like, not only am I like bigger around than a lot of people, but I am very, very tall. And so when I have to do a homemade corset or I have to commission someone to make one for me because it just doesn't come in standard sizes. So there are a lot of options out there. There are a lot of people who will do custom corsets, but you'll be amazed at even like corsets and shapewear, what getting something that is fitted to you, suited to your size will do. I have gotten shapewear in the wrong size before, and I feel like a marshmallow with a rubber band around it. It just
sounds painful.
Is very uncomfortable and can be painful. And it might give me the shape I want in certain places, but it's not worth it for the overall, like, at the end of the day.
Yes. Please keep your comfort in mind.
Exactly.
Comfort over cosplay is so hard to do sometimes, but do it. It's worth it.
The other thing is being familiar with your measurements, whether it's finding a mannequin in your size. They make plus size mannequins that are adjustable for larger sizes. Unfortunately, doesn't work well for me because I am small on the top and really big on the bottom. So I can wear most straight sizes on the top, but I cannot on the bottom. And there just isn't an adjustable mannequin that can have hips as big as mine. So
maybe that should be one of our future live streams is making like a duct tape mannequin
That would
for
be
all
really
of us.
fun.
That'd be
For
so
sure.
fun.
But yeah, building your own is definitely an option. And making sure that when you build your own, you're wearing whatever shapewear you're going to wear in your costume. Because if you don't, you might put a corset on your dummy and it goes too tight, it goes too small than what you can get yourself down to. But if you're already wearing your corset and you do the duct tape fitting, it's going to be fitted to that shape, if that makes sense. So you're going to get a more accurate mannequin to the shape that you want to be. Since we covered shapewear, another thing to keep in mind is your level of comfort. And I know we talk about this just in terms of like modesty and like how much skin you're okay with showing, or like, you know, are you going to be comfortable wearing this? You can always alter a costume to have like a longer skirt or more tummy coverage or less of a plunging neckline or whatever, and that's totally okay. But I also like don't want you to feel like you have to. Like, one of the most frustrating things to me is like I've been at conventions where I am supposed to feel like at home and among my own people and okay to like wear something like I've worn a little like daring things just to be like, I need to feel more positive about my body. I'm going to do like a pinup Sailor Moon. And going to cons and hearing people on staff or on security or whatever that are enforcing like dress code, and they're willing to enforce it on plus size people, but not on people who quote unquote can pull it off. And I hate that mindset. Like, let everybody wear it or let no one wear it. It's not okay to discriminate that.
Yeah.
But also work with your own level of comfort. I know with being a plus size person and wearing less, you are opening yourself up to a lot more attention, and it can be negative. It, like, honestly, most of the time has been crazy positive, and I have been so excited, but every so often you will get negative attention with it. And I want to talk a little bit later on ways to like help build yourself up and how the people around you can help do that too, so that you can feel comfortable and happy in your favorite character, whether or not other people think you're pulling it off, because that's bullcrap. So let's talk about the actual patterning, which is what Narwhals in Jars actually asked about. Now that we're like a half hour in, hi.
Got to build that foundation, Bannon.
I did. So with patterning, like I mentioned before, plus size has a ton more variety in shapes. Where people store fat varies a ton person to person and at different heights. So finding ways to alter your costume to be more flattering is it's a lot of like getting to know your body, and that can be uncomfortable for some. But getting to know your measurements, getting to know like how your shapewear changes those measurements, and looking at body shapes like yours to see what fashions are flattering on that body type can be really helpful. So that as far as like picking out your costume can be helpful. Also buying plus size patterns. Like, I know a lot of them look boring and ugly and I don't want them, but also a lot more and more they are carrying plus size patterns in the cute things that people want, like the Disney princess dresses or different cosplay things. They are available in plus sizes. So getting those plus size patterns is a great place to start. And then being able to adjust those patterns to your shape. I think people get this impression that they should be able to pull a pattern out of the box and cut it out and make a costume and it will fit exactly how it's cut out. And especially with plus size folks, that's not the case. It's so important to do fittings throughout to line up, like for me, I have to line up like a something that fits my hips with a pattern piece that fits my top. And a lot of times that's a lot of adjusting to do. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get. Some small advice that, like, a lot of this is visual. So some of the advice I'm going to give is be aware of where your garment is putting its seams is going to be a big one. Princess seams are great for any like women's wear. Princess seams are the ones that go like down over the bust in 2 lines. And having those gives you a lot more adjustability when you're putting together a top. Having something with, say, raglan sleeves, those are sleeves that rather than have like an inset shoulder seam, the sleeve connects all the way up near the neckline. So it gives you a lot more mobility in your sleeve. And especially for people who have like broader shoulders or bigger arms, raglan sleeves can be super helpful for patterning into your costume. But yeah, just being aware of where your pattern is putting its seams is really important, because it will tell you where you can add and subtract numbers to help adjust it to you. So yeah, picking things that allow for curve in your seams or having more seams is great. The best places to add are going to be areas that already have like a straight edge on them. So let's say you're drafting a pair of pants. You're going to have better luck adding inches along the side seams on your like outer hip than you are on your inseam where it's curving. It's just a lot easier to add your inches where there's not a complex curve. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another, like I said, doing mock-ups and fittings. I was looking at some tutorials and they actually suggested, I hadn't even thought of that, but they suggested gingham for doing tests and mock-ups, because it's all made of straight lines and it's super easy to be like, okay, am I cutting it on grain? It's all straight lines. So you know that you are.
That's really clever.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
Then also, once you've done a pattern, once you've got something that fits you really well, keep copies. Oh my gosh, keep copies. I have like a little like folder of like basic clothing, like just like tops and pants and things that have fit me really well that I use over and over and over again because they've already been adjusted to me. And that is going to save you a ton of time. Because, I mean, not every single thing is going to fit exactly the same, but there are a lot of things you can use the same base pattern for because you know it's flattering on your body type. But yeah, reinforce it with like fusible interfacing, or like cut it out of a sturdy paper or laminate it or whatever you need to do to keep those patterns.
My brain is like, why have I not done this?
Yeah, it's a good thing to do at any size, honestly, because like I said, everybody isn't going to necessarily fit right out of the package that pattern.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna find something and you're gonna like it, and you gotta like make that permanent. Be like, I'm keeping this.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things I do with my costumes is I create it with changing sizes in mind. So I try to make sure that it is adjustable in as many places as I can. So I don't have to worry about losing or gaining weight. I will still be able to wear it. And I do that with things like if you're doing a princess dress, making it be a corset back instead of a zippered back. Or if you're going to do a zippered back, put an internal foundation corset as part of the inner workings of the garment. That can get you to that size so it can always zip closed. Having things with like elastic or stretch fabrics, having drawstring ties, things like that. One of the things I love with a lot of the like traditional Asian clothing is it's so adjustable to size because you're tying a lot of it, different like obies and bows and knots and things. You can have a robe that fits you no matter if you are like a size 2 or a size 10. It just is super nice that you can adjust to that. If you're adding to your pattern, let's see, try to add to the top, not to the bottom, at least with skirts and pants. That's a mistake people tend to make with at least skirts and some like slacks and things like that to accommodate for booty or tummy. Is to like be aware of your crotch seam and how much you need to get from your natural waist in the front to your natural waist in the back. And making sure that your pattern does accommodate that measurement. For me, like I said, I have a lot of booty, so I will make a skirt. And because of how out there it is, it can play havoc with my hems. Like I will hem something uniform all the way across and I'll put it on and it's a lot shorter in the back. So to help with that, you can try to add to the top, like in your waistband. Don't try to add or like adjust the hem at the bottom. So that's just something to keep in mind. I was going to do something on picking characters that suit your body shape, but that's also a really like mixed message for me. Is like, on one hand, I love finding a character that I'm like, oh, they look like me. But on the other, I'm like, well, I love this character, though, and they look nothing like me.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to be, like, the only reason that you're picking characters. I don't want you to, like, cosplay Rose Quartz just because she's the shape you are. Cosplay like, the one that you love.
You can be happy to find characters that look like you, but also you can be whoever you want to be. I cannot encourage that enough.
Right. But yeah, you are welcome to look for characters that share a body type with you. I know they are hard to find. Like I mentioned before about like finding outfits and things that flatter your shape. This is a similar thing that you might want to keep in mind, is finding characters that then have that same aesthetic. One of the things I do a lot when I cosplay as like male characters is I'll pick someone who has a long jacket because it's really easy to hide my hips. And whereas if I struggle with doing ones that are just like a pair of pants and a shirt that's tucked into the pants because I cannot hide my hips. There's like nothing I can do to make my hips look smaller with a look like that. Mm-hmm. Which is also why I love the look of like suspenders and a tucked in shirt and whatnot. Love that aesthetic. I still have not found a way for me to wear it where I feel comfortable. But it's such a fun look.
Okay, but like, you have the cutest hips. Sorry, Sadie and I were like discussing this the other day about just how gorgeous your hips are. So
I believe that the term that I would probably use is hips like whoa.
Yes.
They are very whoa hips. They are 54 inches. But aside from patterning and picking characters and things like that, as we've talked about before, a lot of that is going to have to come from the inside, working on acceptance, remembering that your body is worthy of respect, whether or not you love it and feel it's beautiful, etc. It doesn't matter, because it's still worthy of respect. It's still just as important as any other body, and it deserves just as much happiness and appreciation as others. Like, it's so hard to words that, but it is something I feel strongly, because there are days that I don't feel pretty, you know, I don't feel like I love my body, and still trying to convince myself that just because I don't love my body necessarily, it still deserves to be respected. It still deserves medical treatment. It still deserves to not be made fun of, you know? It is a process to convince yourself of that, I suppose.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is also how you decide to react and respond to how others will try to either build you up or tear you down. Hearing something nice like, oh, you have hips like, whoa, is really nice. But it's not always the thing you hear. And sometimes just being prepared, choosing to be around people that are going to help build you up, is a really good idea. I highly recommend cosplaying outside your comfort zone. It is scary, but having friends around you that you can talk to about your concerns, and who would still want to like do a group cosplay with you, they're going to do their best to help you create a safe space where you can feel comfortable and cute and show off the curves of your body or the just shape that you are, or just your favorite character that you want to be. Like, they are going to support you in those things. That is, despite all of the like negative stuff I've had, it doesn't hold a candle to all of the very like good, positive, awesome things that have come out of starting to cosplay for me. To kind of like to wrap up, I wanted to talk to folks who are normal sizes on how to like be a good ally. And we've like talked about it a little bit throughout, about being careful about language and complaining about things like diets or your size in front of friends who are larger, because that can be very demoralizing. Being careful of statements like, I can't cosplay this until I'm whatever size. Like, it's totally okay to make your fitness goals for cosplays. But hearing that from smaller friends really enforces the idea that certain cosplays have to be earned and aren't just available to everyone. That's great if you have a fitness goal and your cosplay is helping inspire you to meet that. But the idea that you have to earn that is not a good mindset. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. Another thing you can do to help is give meaningful compliments. Honestly, like, plus size people don't always get a lot of compliments. And so just going out of your way to say, like, you make a great blank, or like, you're really rocking that, or whatever, as long as you're meaning what you say. Compliments are so nice, and people remember them for like ages and ages and ages. Like, I can still remember some of the really nice things people have said to me when I started cosplaying, and just there are so many that have stuck out to me that really like made me feel a lot better. I still remember at our like live show at NDK, one of the people came up after the show and was like, "Oh, you make such a sexy prompto," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love this character." And hearing that, like, it made me feel so good. Like, it was such a sweet thing to say. And just so yeah, going out of your way to give a meaningful compliment, you're going to make someone's day. And that's something to do for people of all sizes, but just to be aware of the people who may not hear it as much.
To add to that, sometimes compliments can come across as super creepy, depending on your level of how comfortable you are with that person.
Thank you. Yes.
Recognize that as a representing male, I'm just kind of in this place of like, most of the things that I'm going to say is probably going to come across as creepy just because, hey, I'm a dude. So oftentimes my biggest recommendation is like complimenting something that is in their control.
Yes.
So if I were to be complimenting a complete and total stranger, like, that jacket looks amazing. Doesn't say anything about the body or anything along those lines. It's like, I really like that jacket. It really makes the outfit pop. Something in their realm that they can control. You have a beautiful smile, however, can come across as super creepy unless you're a little bit more intimate with that person. So make sure that you're aware of, one, the person, two, what's their love languages, because sometimes a compliment like that may not be appreciated, and finally, something that's in their control.
Yeah, those are really good, thoughtful things to keep in mind. Another thing you can do to be helpful is to be inclusive with your groups and photo shoots. I know people have this mindset where they want everyone in their group to be like screen accurate and perfect, and the real world is not like that. There's a reason like they have to go through so many casting calls for Hollywood features. Like, be inclusive. Why not reach out and invite folks, like, regardless of size? And also, when you do groups, be mindful of photos that might leave someone out. I've done group cosplays where it is very tasteless also if you're the one asking, but to be like, can I just get a photo with these characters and no one else? It comes across as tasteless and rude, and like, being in that group when someone does that, calling out that kind of behavior like, you don't have to be rude back, but just letting them know that that's not acceptable is good. But yeah, those are some ways you can be inclusive. And also, of course, like promoting plus size cosplayers, sharing their content, liking their stuff, commenting, raising people up. Like, please do that. Yes.
I'm all about that. Raise people up.
I think that's all I
for
have.
listeners, if you're feeling down, message me. I'll be like, all right, let me look through your profile. Okay, that's gorgeous. You're gorgeous. Everything's gorgeous.
She will. Mercedes just doing portfolio reviews. Yes. Like, send me your Facebook link, and then I will just go praise it.
And they will be meaningful. Like, I will go through, I will tell you exactly why you are an amazing, gorgeous person.
That is awesome.
I have a couple things to throw out there before we wrap up too.
Yeah.
For the body positivity and like loving yourself and all that kind of stuff. And for those who want to help others, remember that people can't be shamed into becoming healthy.
Yeah.
If someone has, an addiction or anything else, you can't just shame them. That it just doesn't work. There's science behind it that shows it doesn't work. You can look it up.
There's science that shows most diets are absolute bunk also.
Yes. And people of all different body types are still people, and they deserve to be treated with dignity, respect. Like, be respectful. If you're going to treat somebody like trash based on how they look, you might actually be the garbage. Just saying. Don't treat somebody poorly based on how they look. Like, that is just so cruel. And again, you can't shame people into getting better if that's how you think they need to be. It's not going to work. And it's also not your job.
Right.
You don't have to help anybody get healthy. Let's just treat people like people. Treat them like human beings, and understand that everyone's path, their journey, is complicated and different for each individual person out there. And yeah. Anyways.
And there's also plenty to be said for, if you can't say something nice, just don't say anything at all. Like, just keep walking. There are people who enjoy this content. You are clearly not one of them. Go. There's the door.
Yeah, exactly. Because for the introvert that I am, I love people. The extrovert side of me loves people. And being out there and seeing everyone's different paths, seeing what your story is and how you built something that you are proud of, I am here for it. And your body type is not going to be something that crosses my mind at all. I am here for you as a person. So I hope more and more people, I feel like a lot more people are actually like that out there. It's just you get those very loud, obnoxious haters, and they still hurt.
Yeah.
I wish they'd go away. But
anything you want to add, David, before we wrap?
It's one of those things where it's like, I want to be quiet and let other people who have actual experiences speak. So trying to be a good ally is sometimes just listening. And,
sure, and we so appreciate you listening.
And it's one of those things, dear listener, like, listening is really hard, especially like with my ADD brain sometimes, of just like, oh, I have a good analogy for that. No, it doesn't matter what my analogy is. It's about the experience that the other person has, and validating that experience by being perceptive and being aware of what they are telling you, and how not only can you do better, but how can you influence the people around you to do better. So just listen when someone's having a hard time. When they say they went to the doctor and the doctor said that the bare minimum that they should do is diet, there's nothing that you personally are going to be able to do without it becoming a crime. But at the same time, by sitting down and saying, tell me more, tell me how that made you feel, what can I do in this moment for you, is going to be the best thing that you might be able to do ever. So take care of yourself, and make sure that, you're not putting yourself out to listen to other people. Hold your own boundaries, and listen when you have the spoons, the spell slots, or whatever you want to call it.
I like that. I thought we could end on one of our cosplay horror stories just recently in the Discord was actually about some of the same stuff we've been talking about today. This one comes from Troft Cos. It says, this one is just about a single comment, but I think about it often enough for it to be considered a horror story. So 3 years ago, my friend was working her butt off making a mascot suit of Bendy from Bendy and the Ink Machine to enter in the cosplay contest of the annual big con we always attend together.
My
Another
students
friend of
love
ours,
Bendy so much.
I want to play it. It sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Another friend of ours made Boris in the same mascot style. My friend had jokingly mentioned that I should cosplay a character named Sammy from the game because my nickname in close circle of friends is Sammy.
Aww.
Now, Sammy is a tall, rather muscular dude made of ink, so it would mean a super tight-fitting, non-breathable top with gloves if I were to cosplay him. As a 5'4", rather chubby woman with body issues, that was an immediate no from me. However, I had managed to lose over 10 kilos, that's a little over 20 pounds, that spring,
Wow.
and felt, that's really good, and felt a bit brave, so I decided to make the cosplay in secret and help my boyfriend make Henry, the protagonist, so we could surprise my friend and be a group.
Ooh.
She was super happy when we told her. Our Boris friend was super happy, and we had a lot of fun in this group, despite them wearing mascot suits and me wearing a pleather top in scorching summer heat. We were stopped now and then for group photos, which you can actually see on our Discord if you want to see what their group photos look like. They're so cute.
Yes.
Which was also fun. But when we stopped for one photo to pose, some teens stopped to watch and shouted, "Hey, Sammy, where are your muscles?" Just that one little comment. It probably didn't mean anything inherently bad about it, and my friend has mentioned that his change of physique in the game is a bit of a meme in the fandom, but considering I had worked so hard to get where I was health-wise that year, and that I really stepped out of my comfort zone for the cosplay, it still hit pretty hard, and I still think about it. On a positive note, my friend won the prize for most creative solutions for her Bendy cosplay, and we had a lot of fun being a group otherwise. Yeah, I think this is just a great example of be so careful with your words and remember that some of words can be really hurtful, but they can also have the power to really raise people up and make them feel good and change it into a wonderful, great experience. Like I said, the pictures are so cute. That group looks awesome.
Yes.
It looks like the entire group just jumped out of the screen.
It does.
I know
really
that's kind of the fear of Bendy, but it's so good.
It's true. It is. So yeah, listeners at home, if you have a topic that you would like to suggest, if you want to send us one of your horror stories, there are so many ways you can reach out to us, and we love hearing from you. Our email is cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com,
Or you can go to the website and fill out the googly Google form at cosplaystitchandseam.com, or
Go to the Facebook page and send us your message there. And while you're there, get some great lifting up from our community. Share your work in progress. Share all of your progress, and not just on Wednesday. We love to see what you guys are doing. We love to promote your work as well. And if you want something a little bit faster paced, maybe you're not a fan of Facebook, we do have our Discord. And every now and again on our Facebook and our Twitter, we drop a link just to make sure that everybody has a chance to join and we can address things as they arise. And, if you want to continue to support the podcast and help us build this community, we appreciate any time that you share the podcast with a friend. That means a lot to us. We also appreciate any reviews that you may leave us on Audible, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, wherever they let you. We will even give you a shout out on the show, thanking you for that. If you have left one and we have not gotten to it, please let me know. I want to give you the kudos you so deserve.
yes.
We do have our Patreon, patreon.com/cosplaystitch. We appreciate any and all donations if it's in your budget. Some of those people that we want to thank today are James Donaldson, Cynics at Queer Eye Sci-Fi, Howl Cause, Hot Riku, Rena Mira, Jazzy Kofed, Jaguar Quinn, Gloria Shu, Sudi, Stacy Pitt, Shock H, and Silver Deeds.
Silver Deeds, standard.
Thank you guys so much. It's so has been so nice to have your support and to feel like we're not doing this all on our own. We love you guys. We love our listeners so much.
Yeah.
As our next community project, Mercedes, what's that going to be?
Yeah, let's showcase those photographers. Get your pictures into us, whether it's through the website or our email. Get those to us. Make sure you tell us who the cosplayer is in the photo, and most importantly, the photographer, so that we can give them a shout out and showcase their amazing work. If they have a behind-the-scenes photo, that's a bonus and would be awesome to show off too. Got to show off that photographer yoga.
Heck yeah.
Due by the end of September.
Yay. As always, you can check foxbeautycosmetics.com. Use the promo code Stitch and Seam to get 10% off their products. Thanks, as always, to Macy Roberts for the use of her music as our theme song, and David Jeffress for his amazing editing.
Yay!
How are your podcasts going?
They are going so great. I just uploaded one of the most embarrassing episodes for The Last Voice, an audio drama that I created.
Yeah!
It's me singing. I hate singing in public, you guys.
I'm so excited.
But I did the thing. It just launched today at the time of this recording. So I really hope that you will at least go check it out.
Listen, yes.
Yeah, if anything, to give yourself a good chuckle, because man, I'm not great at this. But it's a lot of fun. So if you enjoy audio dramas, a overlapping story, some fun sound design, I highly recommend The Last Voice. And if you want something a little bit more chill, we have Comic Trades Monthly, a monthly book club podcast where we talk about our favorite comic books in a book club format, talking about what does it mean, where does it take us, and how can we grow with this knowledge that we've gained. So it's a good time. It's a great opportunity to really challenge ourselves on just media in general. So go check those out.
Good.
Love it.
I was going to try to have an inspiring quote for the end, because this was a more serious episode, but I figured bad puns are just how I roll. Hey. Bye, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.